If someone gave you a map of reality, but warned you that once you saw it, you could never unsee it, would you still want to look? Because if you're content with your current reality, I'd advise you to stop watching now. Most people live their entire lives inside a single level of reality and die never realizing there were 6 more available to them. Before we talk about levels, we need to clear something up. Reality is not something you are inside of. Reality is something you are in relationship with. Most people spend their entire lives trying to change outcomes without ever understanding the position they're changing them from. They think reality is fixed, or random, or unfair. But the truth is quieter than that. Reality responds differently depending on where you're standing within it. There aren't different realities for different people. There are different levels of relationship to the same reality. And each level comes with a different way of seeing, a different way of feeling, and a different set of limitations. Not because reality is cruel, but because awareness develops in stages. You don't rise through these levels by force. You don't climb them by effort. You pass through them the same way you pass through seasons, by learning what each one is trying to teach you. Until that lesson is integrated, the level repeats, with new faces, new circumstances, same patterns. As you listen, don't try to figure out where you should be. Notice where you are. Which parts feel familiar? Which parts feel uncomfortable? Which parts feel like they're describing your life exactly? Discomfort is not a warning sign, it's a signal of recognition. This isn't about becoming better than anyone else. It's about becoming clearer. Because once you can see the level you're operating from, you stop fighting reality and start moving with it. Now, we begin at the only place anyone ever does, not at the top, not in theory, but exactly where the body starts to learn safety. Level 1. Survival reality. Life is happening to me. Take a moment before we begin. Not to think, not to analyze. Just notice your body, your breathing, your jaw, your shoulders. Because the first level of reality is not understood with the mind. It is felt through the nervous system. What survival reality feels like. At this level, life feels loud, not necessarily chaotic on the outside, but urgent on the inside. There is always something that needs to be handled, something unresolved, something coming. Even rest feels conditional. You don't relax, you pause. And even in the pause, part of you stays alert. People in survival reality often say things like, "I just need to get through this. Once this settles down, I'll focus on myself later." Later never comes. Because in survival reality, later doesn't feel safe. How you experience the world at this level. Reality is experienced as pressure. Time feels scarce, money feels tight, energy feels limited. You're not imagining this. Your body is literally allocating resources towards survival. Your attention narrows, your thinking shortens, your awareness collapses inward. At this level, the future feels threatening, the past feels heavy, the present feels like something to endure, joy feels irresponsible, stillness feels dangerous, silence feels unfamiliar. Common traits of survival reality. You may notice reacting before thinking, difficulty planning long-term, emotional swings without clear cause, needing distraction just to feel okay. You might feel behind in life, as if everyone else got a manual you didn't. This isn't a personal failure. It's a biological state. The invisible cage of level 1. The restraint of survival reality is not circumstances. It's identification with urgency. When everything feels urgent, nothing feels meaningful. You are always responding, never relating. And because your system is busy surviving, it cannot perceive higher possibilities. Not because they don't exist, but because your awareness is tuned elsewhere. The lesson of survival reality. This level teaches one thing. Safety precedes expansion. You cannot think your way out of survival reality. You cannot manifest your way out. You cannot spiritually bypass your way out. The body must first learn, I am not in danger right now. Until that message lands, higher levels will feel fake or unreachable. How to know you are currently in level 1. You may be here if you feel constantly tired, even when resting. You feel guilty for slowing down. You struggle to imagine a future that excites you. Your thoughts loop around the same problems. Again, no judgment. Most of the world lives here. The exit door, how you move to level 2. The transition out of survival reality is not dramatic. It's subtle, quiet, almost unnoticeable. Here's how it begins. Practice 1. Regulate before you elevate. Once per day, stop trying to improve your life. Instead, sit with your feet on the ground. Breathe in slowly through your nose. Exhale longer than you inhale. This tells your nervous system, there is no immediate threat. Do this even when it feels pointless, especially then. Practice 2. Reduce, don't add. At this level, more goals increase stress. Instead, remove one thing, one obligation, one source of noise, one unnecessary expectation. Relief creates space. Space creates awareness. Practice 3. One chosen action. Each day, choose one small action you complete deliberately. Not because you have to, but because you decided to. This rebuilds agency. Agency is the seed of identity. The moment you leave level 1, you don't wake up enlightened. You notice something simpler. You pause and don't panic. You feel a gap between stimulus and response. And a new thought appears. Maybe this isn't all there is. That thought is not random. It is level 2 beginning to activate. Level 2, identity reality. I am who I believe I am. If level 1 was about safety, level 2 is about self-definition. This is the moment awareness turns inward and asks a dangerous question. Who am I? Not philosophically, practically. Who am I in this body, in this family, in this world? And once an answer forms, most people never question it again. What identity reality feels like. At this level, life feels personal. Not just experiences, everything. Success feels like proof. Failure feels like a verdict. You don't just have traits, you are them. You are the smart one, the broken one, the strong one, the unlucky one, the overlooked one. And slowly, invisibly, you begin defending that identity, even when it hurts you. How you experience the world at this level. Reality becomes a mirror. You're constantly reading yourself through other people's reactions, social comparison, validation, or rejection. At level 2, praise feels intoxicating, criticism feels threatening, silence feels like judgment. You start curating yourself. What to say, what not to say, who to be and who not to be. Not because you're fake, but because belonging feels necessary. Common traits of identity reality. You may notice strong attachment to labels, over-identification with your past, defining yourself by trauma or achievement, fear of being found out. You begin telling a story about yourself and then living inside it. Even growth becomes part of the story. I'm the one who's working on myself. I'm the spiritual one. I'm the logical one. Still a costume. Just a more refined one. The invisible cage of level 2. The restraint of identity. Reality is self-concept. Once you decide who you are, you unconsciously decide who you're not allowed to become. Opportunities get filtered. Possibilities get rejected. Behaviors get justified. Not because they're wrong, but because they don't match the story. At this level, reality doesn't feel hostile. It feels judging. The lesson of identity. Reality. Level 2 teaches one thing. You are not your story, but you are living inside one. Identity is necessary, but it is not permanent. It is scaffolding, and when scaffolding is mistaken for structure, growth stops. How to know you are currently in level 2. You may be here if you take things personally very quickly. You feel the need to explain or defend yourself. You fear being misunderstood. You cling to certain traits, labels, or narratives. You might feel stuck, even while doing all the right things. Because effort alone doesn't dissolve identity. The exit door, how you move to level 3. You don't escape identity by destroying it. You loosen it. Here's how that begins. Practice. 1. Watch the story, don't correct it. When something triggers you, pause and ask, what story am I telling about myself right now? Not to fix it, not to replace it, just to see it. Awareness weakens identification. Practice 2. Change behavior without explanation. Once per day, do something slightly out of character. Something small, something harmless. And do not explain yourself. This teaches the nervous system. I am not confined to my image. Practice 3. Separate action from identity. Instead of saying, I am bad at this, say, this action didn't work. Language shapes perception. Perception shapes reality. The moment you leave level 2, you don't lose your identity. You stop believing it's solid. You notice. You can act differently without collapsing. You can be misunderstood and survive. You can change without losing yourself, and a new question forms. If I'm not my identity, what actually chooses? That question is not philosophical. It is level 3 awakening. Level 3, control reality. If I manage life correctly, I'll be okay. If level 2 was about who you are, level 3 is about what you do. This is the level where identity turns into strategy, where awareness says, if I just stay disciplined, if I plan better, if I stay ahead, then nothing will fall apart. What control reality feels like. Life feels manageable, but heavy. You're not overwhelmed like in survival reality. You're not confused like in identity reality. You're capable, but always on. Rest feels earned. Stillness feels unproductive. Letting go feels irresponsible. You're doing better than before, but it costs you something. Usually, peace. How you experience the world at this level. Reality feels like a system to be optimized. Schedules, routines, goals, frameworks. You believe life rewards effort, and to some extent it does. But the effort never really ends. At level 3, you trust action more than intuition. You respect logic over feeling. You believe consistency equals control. You're not wrong, just incomplete. Common traits of control reality. You may notice high productivity, low satisfaction, difficulty relaxing without guilt, a sense that something's missing, measuring worth through output. You're often admired here, but internally, you may feel tense, vigilant, and responsible for everything. Even joy gets scheduled. The invisible cage of level 3. The restraint of control reality is attachment to effort. You believe, if I stop managing, things will fall apart. So you grip tighter, but the tighter you grip, the less life surprises you. At this level, reality responds, but only within the limits of your control. Magic disappears, synchronicity fades, everything becomes mechanical. The lesson of control reality. Level 3 teaches one thing. Control creates stability, but it cannot create meaning. Effort can organize life. It cannot animate it. Eventually, something breaks. Burnout, disillusionment, emotional numbness. Not as punishment, but as an invitation forward. How to know you are currently in level 3. You may be here if you feel responsible for outcomes that aren't fully yours. You struggle to trust anything you didn't plan. You equate rest with laziness. You feel safe only when in control. You may be doing everything right and still feel unfulfilled. That feeling is the signal. The exit door, how you move to level 4. You don't abandon control. You relativize it. Here's how that begins. Practice. 1. Release one unnecessary control. Each day, deliberately don't manage something minor. Let someone else decide. Leave a small task unfinished. Allow imperfection without fixing it. Notice what happens. The world doesn't collapse. Your nervous system learns flexibility. Practice 2. Shift from how to why. Instead of asking, how do I make this work? Ask, why does this matter to me? Meaning begins where control ends. Practice. 3. Create space for the unplanned. Schedule nothing, even briefly. Let boredom arise, let discomfort surface. This opens perception beyond management. At the moment you leave level 3, you don't stop being capable. You stop believing effort is the source of life. You notice moments of flow, unexpected support, meaning emerging without force. And a new question appears. What is life trying to show me? That question is level 4 opening. Level 4, meaning reality. Life is teaching me something. If level 3 was about managing life, level 4 is about listening to it. At this level, events are no longer random. They feel arranged, not magically, intelligently. You begin to sense that life is responding not just to what you do, but to how you relate to what happens. What meaning reality feels like. Life feels symbolic. Situations repeat until they're understood. Challenges feel personal, but not hostile. Even difficulty carries a strange clarity. This is here for a reason. You still experience pain, but it doesn't feel pointless. How you experience the world at this level, reality becomes a feedback system. Patterns stand out. The same relationship dynamics, the same emotional reactions, the same obstacles in new forms. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this asking of me? This is a profound shift. Common traits of meaning reality. You may notice increased intuition, heightened sensitivity to timing, strong inner reactions to certain events, a sense that life is guiding you. You begin reflecting more than reacting. And for the first time, responsibility feels empowering, not heavy. The invisible cage of level 4. The restraint of meaning reality is interpretation without embodiment. It's possible to understand everything and change nothing. You can see the lesson, name the pattern, talk about the insight, but still repeat the behavior. Meaning alone does not transform. Integration does. The lesson of meaning reality. Level 4 teaches one thing. Awareness reveals patterns, but action dissolves them. Insight is the invitation, not the destination. Life shows you the lesson until you live it. How to know you are currently in level 4. You may be here if you see patterns clearly, but struggle to break them. You intellectualize growth. You feel aware, but not free. You keep learning without applying. This is a subtle plateau. A comfortable one. The exit door, how you move to level 5. You don't seek more insight. You embody what you already know. Here's how that begins. The practice. 1. Interrupt the pattern in real time. When a familiar reaction arises, pause. Do anything different, even 5% different. This rewires meaning into action. Practice. 2. Move toward the edge, not the explanation. If you understand why something scares you, go toward it gently, not recklessly, consciously. Growth happens at the edge of insight. Practice. 3. Live the lesson for 7 days. Choose one realization and act from it for a full week. No analysis, no commentary. Let reality respond. The moment you leave level 4, you stop asking what life means. You feel it guiding you through response. Effort becomes lighter, decisions feel cleaner, and a new sense emerges. When I act in alignment, things move. That recognition is level 5 activating. Level 5, alignment reality. When I move correctly, life responds. If level 4 taught you to see meaning, level 5 teaches you to trust resonance. Here, effort softens, not because you stop acting, but because your actions begin to land. You're no longer pushing against life. You're moving with it. What alignment reality feels like. Life feels cooperative. Not easy, but responsive. Decisions feel cleaner. Timing feels sharper. Resistance feels informative instead of frustrating. You begin to notice. When something is right, it flows. When it isn't, it stalls. And you stop forcing stalled doors. How you experience the world at this level. Reality feels relational. You sense when to speak and when not to, when to act and when to wait. You no longer ask, how do I make this happen? You ask, is this in alignment right now? Your body becomes an instrument. Tension, misalignment, ease, coherence. Common traits of alignment, reality. You may notice heightened intuition, less tolerance for inauthentic choices, faster feedback from life, fewer but more meaningful actions. You do less and accomplish more. The invisible cage of level 5, the restraint of alignment. Reality is attachment to flow. You can become so attached to ease that you avoid necessary friction. But not all resistance is misalignment. Some resistance is initiation. Growth still requires courage. The lesson of alignment reality. Level 5 teaches one thing. Flow is a signal, not a guarantee. Alignment doesn't mean comfort. It means coherence. Sometimes the aligned path is quiet. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, but it's always clean. How to know you are currently in level 5. You may be here if you trust your timing more than external pressure. You say no easily. You feel consequences immediately. You value integrity over speed. Life feels less chaotic, but more precise. The exit door. How you move to level 6. You stop asking what's aligned for you. You begin asking, what wants to be created through me? Here's how that shift begins. Practice 1. Follow the signal, not the reward. Act on what feels true even when it brings no immediate benefit. Creation responds to sincerity. Practice 2. Offer value without attachment. Create, share, serve, without needing recognition. This dissolves self-centered alignment and opens collective flow. Practice 3. Trust the response loop. Notice how quickly reality answers your actions. This feedback is training you for co-creation, the moment you leave level 5. You stop trying to stay aligned. Alignment becomes your baseline, and a deeper awareness forms. I am not just moving with life, I am helping shape it. That realization is level 6 awakening. Level 6, creation reality. Reality moves through me. If level 5 was about alignment, level 6 is about authorship. Not egoic control, not manifestation fantasies, but the quiet recognition that what you embody becomes formative. At this level, your state influences outcomes before effort ever begins. What creation reality feels like. Life feels generative. Ideas arrive fully formed. Opportunities organize around intention. People appear at the right time. Not constantly, not magically, but consistently enough that coincidence stops feeling accidental. You sense that your presence has weight. How you experience the world at this level, reality feels participatory. You no longer feel separate from what unfolds. You are inside the process of becoming. You don't ask, "What should I do?" You ask, "What is being asked to come through me?" Creation feels less like effort and more like stewardship. Common traits of creation. Reality. You may notice deep trust in timing, responsibility for impact, not image, a calm confidence without urgency, reduced attachment to personal outcomes. You act and release because you know the movement continues. The invisible cage of level 6. The restraint of creation. Reality is subtle ego return, not loud, not obvious. It sounds like, "I'm the one who sees. I'm the one who creates." But creation doesn't belong to individuals. It moves through those who stay clear. The lesson of creation. Reality. Level 6 teaches one thing. You are not the source. You are the channel. The clearer the channel, the cleaner the creation. Power here is quiet and deeply ethical. How to know you are currently in level 6. You may be here if you feel responsible for the effect you have on others. You create for service, not validation. You experience effortless influence. You feel guided rather than driven. Life feels meaningful without needing explanation. The exit door, how you move to level 7. You release ownership entirely, not of action, but of identity. Here's how that unfolds. Practice. 1. Create without claiming. Let your work speak without attaching your name. Detach authorship. Preserve integrity. This dissolves the last veil. Practice 2. Rest is trust. True rest here is not collapse. It's confidence. Stop directing. Let life move. Practice. 3. See through separation. Notice where you still see me and them. That boundary is the doorway. The moment you leave level 6, there is no event, no breakthrough, no announcement. Just a quiet recognition. There was never a separate doer. That recognition is level 7. Level 7, Unity Reality. There is no separation. This level is not reached. It is remembered. Nothing new appears here. Nothing is added. Only the illusion of distance dissolves. What Unity Reality feels like. Life feels intimate, not emotionally, existentially. There is no sense of standing outside of experience, no observer watching from a distance. Everything is happening as you, not to you, not for you, as you. Silence feels alive, presence feels complete, stillness feels full. How you experience the world at this level. Reality no longer feels like something to interpret. Meaning collapses into being. You don't ask why things happen. You don't seek lessons. You don't track progress. Events arise and pass without resistance. Action happens. Words come. Movement flows. But there is no internal narrator claiming authorship. Common traits of Unity Reality. From the outside, nothing looks extraordinary. From the inside, there is no urgency, no striving, no internal conflict. Compassion is natural, presence is effortless, boundaries are functional, not psychological. You participate fully, without attachment. The last illusion that falls. At this level, even growth dissolves. There is no higher state to reach. No future version to become. No identity to protect. Only this. Fully. Ordinarily. Completely. The seeker disappears. and what remains was always here. And what changes, and what doesn't. You still live a human life. You still feel emotions. You still act, choose, and respond. But suffering no longer comes from resistance. Pain may arise, confusion may arise, loss may arise. They pass through, without creating a self around them. Why this level cannot be held? Unity is not a place you stay. It is a reference point that reshapes everything below it. You move in and out, moment by moment, breath by breath, and each return leaves less illusion behind. In the final realization, there were never 7 separate realities. There were 7 ways of relating to the same one. You didn't climb upward. You relaxed inward. Closing transmission. You were never meant to master reality. You were meant to meet it. And when placement is correct, reality doesn't need to be convinced. It responds. Before you move on, take a moment to notice where you are right now. Not where you think you should be, but where you actually are. Let everything you just heard settle without judgment. You don't need to label it. You don't need to understand it. Just breathe and allow whatever resonated to reveal itself in its own time. If something shifted, even subtly, if a level felt familiar, uncomfortable, or deeply true, I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment sharing what you felt, what you recognized, or which level you believe you're currently moving through. And if this kind of exploration speaks to you, take a second to like the video and subscribe. It helps this space grow, and it tells me to keep going deeper. Until next time, stay present, stay curious, and keep listening to what reality is already showing you. As this divine frequency continues playing, you're welcome to stay here, allowing the words to dissolve as the frequency carries you into your own quiet understanding.